Ladies and gents, boys and girls, welcome back. This is the Windup, SEC Unfiltered's bi-weekly college baseball show, the best college baseball show on the internet. We are here recapping yet another fun midweek in the SEC, as well as previewing and predicting weekend number 8 in conference play, as we have officially turned the calendar to the month of May. And you know what that means? Postseason baseball is just around the corner. As always, I'm Chris Phillips. He is Harrison Fant. We appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, guys. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, where we get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. And as always, we are powered by our friends over at FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Once again, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get $200 in bonus bets today. I am Chris Phillips. He is Harrison Fant. This is the Windup, SEC Unfiltered's bi-weekly college baseball show, the best college baseball show on the internet. Like I mentioned, we are here recapping what took place in the midweek, and we've got our sights set on another electric weekend on the diamond in the SEC. Weekend number 8 in conference play, as teams continue to fight for postseason bids, for hosting bids, for top 8 national seeds, you name it. We are here breaking it all down, previewing, predicting what is to come. Like I said, I am Chris Phillips, joined as always my friend Harrison Fant. Harrison, what's going on, man? Appreciate you taking the time. Excited to break this all down with you as we've officially flipped the calendar to May.
Good to be here, Chris, and good to talk SEC baseball, especially as May is here in full swing. And that means that we're that much closer to Hoover, the SEC tournament, postseason baseball, Chris. We can feel it. It's in the air. It's almost within reach. It's all about getting hot in May, Chris. Is what you say, getting hot in May. And we got a lot of teams in the SEC hot and in the rankings in May, that's for sure.
It's all about getting hot this time of year, no doubt. Again, with 3 conference weekends remaining, that'll be the focus. I mean, that'll be the emphasis of all these teams across the league. This is the time I think you want to begin to peak and start playing your best baseball if you are not doing so. But Harrison, before we talk all that, of course, again, we got an electric weekend slate starting tonight, by the way. I would argue the series of the weekend starting tonight to break down. Let's talk briefly what happened in the midweek. Harrison, a pair of SEC teams fall, Kentucky and Missouri, which, by the way, the Kentucky one, you called that one. I will give you credit, and we were very much on that one as a, hey, watch out for Western Kentucky. Watch out for the Hilltoppers, which, by the way, they won the internet, Harrison, on Tuesday night. I'm sure you saw the graphic they dropped, because the big thing that's taken over the internet, could 100 men beat one gorilla? I believe it was a graphic, and the Hilltoppers baseball account said, could 100 Wildcats beat one Hilltopper? And it's like the Hilltopper holding the baseball bat. That was electric. They won the internet that night. So Western Kentucky gets the big, I say upset. It's a very good ball club. Missouri falls to Kansas. You had Mississippi State, first game post Chris Lemonis. They went out and put up a really spirited showing against Memphis, won that game in a run rule. Auburn won at Samford. Ole Miss beat Austin Peay. Pretty solid club. Outside of that, Harrison, pretty much everybody across the league just handling their business, I think, as we expected.
Yeah, for sure. And the Western Kentucky thing, pretty funny. Obviously, I also saw, was it Big Red Big Red greater than Big Blue? So that was another good one too that I saw floating around there. But I mean, like, Western Kentucky's a really good ball club. I think there's, you can't really take them for granted. It's a really tough midweek game, and they went out there and played to their best abilities. They had a lot of guys. I said that batting over 320. It feels like Carlos Vasquez and Ryan Weiderman. I mean, just guys that can bruise in their offense lineup, and they did. And when you don't, I don't want to say get a bad start, but Ethan Walker for Kentucky goes 4 1/3, just get up 8 hits, which is just tough to scatter. So you're gonna have a couple of runs here and there, but after that, outside of Scott Rouse, the bullpen was just kind of like 2 outs, 2 outs, 2 out. One just kind of a bullpen game, which at this point midweeks really are, because you're not looking to get huge starts from guys, but just the bullpen for Western Kentucky outpitched Kentucky, and that's a big win for them RPI wise as well. And it's gonna, I think, play very highly for them come postseason seeding, and just, hey, like, we've played SEC teams, we can beat SEC teams, so that's a big momentum thing for them. But other than that, I mean, I think everyone else kind of takes care of business. It's the biggest thing, I think, outside of that, focus wise, was, like you said, Mississippi State, and just kind of first game without Chris Lemonis. Obviously, I think this week is going to be kind of a bigger response for that because you're playing an SEC series, you're playing at home. So more so looking forward to that. But I think a lot of people, I mean, we're looking forward to midweeks for sure because midweeks do matter, but SEC play is just juicy every week, Chris.
Yeah, it's interesting, Harrison. I was thinking about that this morning. Like, man, we're almost to the end of the regular season as a whole, but I'm like, we only have a few midweeks left. And there's some teams that I believe Arkansas, I think their game got canceled. They're done with midweeks. Some of these SEC teams are done with midweeks, and some have, moved some games around because I think they rescheduled from earlier in the season. But the midweeks will start to dwindle down, and we will get to a place in 2 weeks, Harrison, where I believe we will see the final midweek slate. That will be a sad day for you and I because midweeks do matter for us. What's interesting, before we get off of this, Harrison, because again, I don't want to spend a ton of time on the midweek because, like I said, it was very, very ho-hum. I think some of the bigger stories in the midweek came off the field, right? You had Paul Mainieri, his comments talking about, I didn't expect the league to be this difficult, which we can break down and dissect. Then you had Missouri's athletic director coming out and saying, we're simply just, and I'm paraphrasing, but we're simply just not investing in baseball the way we need to be competitive in the SEC. Let's start with the Mainieri comments, Harrison. Wild quote from Paul Mainieri. Essentially,
from a guy that's been in the SEC.
A guy that's won a national championship, has coached at the highest level, one of the premier programs in the SEC at LSU, comes out, and he's on his weekly radio appearance there in a local spot in Columbia, and essentially just says, and if you've got the exact quote pulled up, you can read it, but essentially just says he took for granted how difficult the SEC was, how old the teams are, how big and fast the athletes are. And it's like, have you not been watching at minimum the College World Series since you've been retired? I mean, that quote, again, it just feeds into what we were talking about on Monday, Harrison, that I will not be surprised. And at this point, I'm almost expecting that Paul Mainieri is going to be one and done at South Carolina. And maybe he won't. Maybe he comes back next year and they rebound and have a nice year. But I think realistically, man, for what South Carolina baseball is now, because it's not the program it was a decade ago. It's just a decade and a half ago, I should say. It's just not. And I think they would be better served because I understand why Mainieri was hired, shot in the arm, bring some national relevancy to the program. At least that was their goal. That was their objective. I don't know that it's really worked out all that much. You need to bring a guy in there like a Skylar Meade, like a young cat that I think would willingly come in and rebuild the program. It's a rebuild for them. Like, it has to be looked at. And somebody, I was talking to a buddy of mine last night. I think he said this beautifully. South Carolina baseball right now is what Tennessee football was before Josh Heupel got there. Like, they are lost in the wilderness. They need to go find their Josh Heupel. They need to go find the guy who's willing, to stack it brick by brick, dare I use a butchism, but brick by brick, and build this thing and get closer to being what they were, just even remotely closer to what they were back in like the 2010s and that era, because the standard has been completely lost in Columbia. So, at this point, I just don't know where the optimism comes from with the Paul Mainieri. And that quote he had on Tuesday, I think it was just, it's a bit outrageous. It was a bit outrageous.
Yeah, Chris, the standard is the standard. I think that South Carolina is set on the diamond, and I don't think that really is ever going to change because of one of the highest peaks of college baseball history a team has ever reached. Mm-hmm. And they are just nowhere near at the bottom Mount Everest looking up, nearly. And to say that, the quote is, quote, I had just underestimated the strength of the conference and how much better the conference has gotten in the last couple of years. He said, the players are so much bigger and stronger and more experienced, older, where you were just not able to match up in some cases with them. I mean, to say, like, I don't even. I mean,
pretty wild to say that out loud.
So long he's been successful. Like you said, I mean, have you not watched the college series? The last 5 national championships have been from SEC clubs, from different ones every year. And he says, quote, I thought we would do better. I really did. It was on 107.5 the game on Monday. Like, I mean, but Chris, do you remember when he was hired, like out of the blue hire, it felt like it was a friendly hire with Ray Tanner. But do you remember the quote he said in his introductory press conference last June?
I do not.
It was along the lines of, I don't see why we can't compete for everything right out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean,
he said, "I didn't come here to be mediocre. I didn't come here to lose." That's what he
and
said.
dude, again, I don't think Paul Mainieri was like a rebuild hire. That was to win immediately.
It was a
And
bridge hire. It was a bridge hire.
right. And
But
again,
you don't do a 1-year bridge hire. Not in the SEC.
maybe Paul Mainieri's back next year. But I wonder, is he not sitting there looking himself in the mirror saying, like, is this really worth it? Like, did I bite off more than I could chew? And Ray Tanner's no longer there. Now you got a new AD kid, the guy that came from TCU. I'm fascinated with what he's going to want to do.
But it's hard to turn a program, Chris, in 1 year because none of your guys like. And I know you can say,
but I'm saying, like, it's
Max
not
Weiner, Nolan Kane, and them are doing it at
But it's not his guys. But like, is he going to be there long enough to even? I mean, unless they go kill it in the portal, I guess. But like, he's not going to be there long enough to recruit his guys. Like, because again, baseball recruiting starts so early. Like, you're not going to see your guys for another like 3 to 4 years. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Absolutely. I think like obviously he wasn't around when the portal was there.
Yeah, I just don't know really. Like
NIL too.
Yeah, I just don't know what the game plan is. Like, I don't know if there is a plan. I think, again, the hire was made more so as a desperate attempt to bring back some notoriety and relevancy to the program. The problem is, when you're as bad as they are, it doesn't matter who your coach is. You're not going to be nationally relevant.
I thought it was a 2-year plan when I was like, this is like just a bridge, like a 2-year. I was like, I don't know how you really do that though, but like that's the only thing that made sense. I don't know.
And then the Missouri comments, Harrison, really quickly. I mean, I think Missouri's athletic director made the understatement of the century that they're not investing in baseball the way they need to. I mean, I think that's – I mean, when it's Phi Delta Theta whatever stadium.
Phi Delta Theta Stadium.
Right. We got some issues. So, I mean, they are behind significantly across the board when it comes to facilities, when it comes to overall investment. I don't think he said anything that was that groundbreaking. But it was interesting to hear him at least acknowledge it because I think you and I have talked, like, what is Missouri's interest level in being good in baseball? Like, and they got a coach that I think could do it in Carrick Jackson.
And he's passionate about Missouri baseball.
Yeah, but you got to give him some resources. You got to give him some help. I mean, it's Harrison. It's always going to be a tough job. It's never based off geography alone, based off the fact that
and they have no history outside of Max Scherzer. It feels like, and Tony Vitello being an assistant.
Tony Vitello, yeah,
like that's it.
Yeah, their best history is helping Tennessee win titles. So I to your point, I don't, but they can be better. They can be better, obviously.
Yeah.
So
I think for me, like, I appreciate him acknowledging it, but did you hear the rest of it when he goes, look what Missouri basketball did in a year? Chris, that ain't happening in SEC
I know,
baseball.
Yeah, it's different. See, basketball, you can completely flip a roster in one offseason, but you only have 5 starters.
4 guys. You can't do that on a baseball field.
No, you cannot do that in baseball. And here's the thing. They're not going to spend the money more than likely in NIL to do that if they could do that in baseball. So,
yeah, exactly. But I mean, they're talking about the facility upgrades too and stuff like that. Like, I have been in the stadium. I've never been to a game, but I've been to the stadium on the way back from Omaha. Niche ballpark. Like, very, and I mean that not in a unique way, just a very it looks like someone built it. Like, it looks like the Little League World Series. Like, it looks like a miniature Little League World Series, like regional, like location. Like, you got the one grandstand kind of around the home plate, and that's it.
Let's just put it this way, Harrison.
He says they need a new turf, and I'm like,
yeah. Let's put it this way, Harrison, and I mean this with all due respect. Phi Delta Theta Stadium will probably not be on the SEC Unfiltered Baseball Tour anytime soon. I'll just put it that way. So, y'all invest in the stadium, we'll come out there. But until then, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. I have no problem saying that. So,
yeah, no, but I mean, like I said, I appreciate him acknowledging it. It's one of those things that, like, I don't know if Missouri baseball is ever not going to be number 3 of the big 3.
I mean.
Especially with now Missouri basketball having that turnaround year, like
yeah, exactly. No, I think it's pretty much entrenched at minimum number 3. I don't know. There may be another sport at Mizzou that could fill in there, maybe like a women's basketball or something. But no, it's. I mean, here's the thing, though, bro. They should be better. I mean, they're on track to go 0-30. There is just no excuse. They haven't made the postseason since they joined the SEC. Like, at some point, you do have to decide if you're Missouri, hey, are we just going to kind of let the program die and just exist, and we're just going to take we're going to be that series for every team?
I guess that's the place to go to say you played in the SEC.
I mean, I guess so. I don't know.
Yeah.
Harrison, let's put a pin in the midweek. Again, we're going to turn our attention to the weekend. Lots to get into when it comes to this weekend slate. Before we do, though, guys, I want to tell you about our friends over at Melon Hats, our new favorite lids. You see them. We got the black. We got the gray. I know you're still waiting. They got a lot of different colorways, by the way. Funny enough, a few weeks ago, I'm down in Hilton Head. I go into Golf Galaxy, and they've got like a full melon hat, merchandise, what have you, stand. Really cool, guys. These things are legit, from durability to comfort to fit to sizing. They're going to become your new favorite hat. And, guys, something I've never seen before, and Harrison and I both can speak to. We're both big lid guys, both big hat guys. You're very picky with your hat. Again, the way they fit your head, the comfort. Something I've never seen with hats, though, they've got the thermal collection, the hydro collection. So whether it's warm out, cold out, they're going to take care of you, whether you're at the beach, you're at the golf course, you're at the gym, hanging out around the house, whatever it is. Melon is the way to go if you're looking for a hat as tough as you. Check out Melon. You won't wear anything else after you get one for yourself. Go to melon.com. That's melin.com. Put it to the test yourself. Melon.com, melin.com, and tell them that Chris Phillips and Harrison Fant from the Windup sent you. Harrison, let's jump into weekend number 8 of conference play, and it gets going tonight with, I would argue, the series of the weekend. The Arkansas Razorbacks and the Texas Longhorns get set to do battle in Fayetteville. Arkansas, Harrison, a desperate club. They have lost 3 straight SEC series. Arkansas 3 weeks ago was ranked number 1 in the country. You're thinking to yourself, can this team be beaten? Since then, they've fallen off a cliff. Texas on the other side, they just keep on keeping on. 19-2 in SEC play. They continue to find ways to win. Max Ballou goes out, doesn't matter. Jared Spencer goes out, doesn't matter. Somebody else is stepping up night after night after night. They're riding high. Arkansas riding low, looking to break through at home. The Hog Pen will be rocking. By the way, we're renewing an old rivalry, and I can tell you this, Harrison, from being there during football season. Arkansas fans loathe Texas. I mean, they loathe Texas with every fiber of their being. You go look anywhere. If there's a Texas logo, it's upside down. It's horns down. Like, they take it super personally. I cannot wait for the emotions in Fayetteville. Zach Root against Rojas in game 1, I think, is massive for this series, which again will get going tonight. Can the Horns keep doing it, winning tight ball games, leaning on their stars and their studs and having new heroes emerge? Or is this the weekend finally they get knocked off? And by the way, by far, Harrison, I think it's safe to say, the biggest road test for Texas this season. We've been talking about all these big series being at home. Now you've got to go on the road. I'm fascinated by this one. Cannot wait to watch this one play out this weekend.
Yeah, I hate this as a early series in the weekend just because of how I mean, playing Thursday is weird for me. Game 1, it's a Friday night ace for a reason.
We do get it on national TV though. I will take that.
We're making progress there, but I hate that we're not going to be there for it. I mean, the Hog Pen will be absolutely jumping. It's going to be electric. It's like you said, I think it's the biggest road series for Texas this season by far, because the majority of their toughest series, Georgia, LSU, A&M, Auburn, we're all at home. So you're going to get a better sense of, a really good understanding of what Texas is like on the road against a postseason Omaha caliber club in Arkansas. And, I'm looking forward to it because it's interesting that we didn't really expect this slide from Arkansas and how they've been playing the past, 3-4 series now, losing their last 3 series straight. Is that correct?
Yeah, 3 in a row. Yep.
I mean, it felt like it's been on the backs of the hitting more so than the pitching, which is, we're talking early in the season, like if Arkansas is in the middle of the pack SEC hitting wise, they're going to be in Omaha. And then they have this insane 3 months, it feels like, of being the best team in college baseball hitting lineup wise. They kind of cool off now, Chris. You talk about being hot in April. You don't want to be hot in April. You want to be hot in May, in late May too. But they're coming back to home base, right? They're coming back to the home field. They're coming back to Baum Walker, the Hog Pen. Nothing like playing in front of in comfort of your clubhouse, in front of your fans. And Arkansas is going to give Texas everything they've got, Chris. Everything they got. I mean, I think you have to take some of the numbers off the page in recency bias. in kind of with a grain of salt because of, playing at road, you're playing against really good competition. Florida's in must-win situation, backs against the wall, playing it across the country almost with them. And you just play big games well, I think. I think Arkansas does play big games well, whether they've won or lost, but the talent that they have, there's no reason that they shouldn't go into the series and win the series. And, they expect to. I think Arkansas expects to come into the series, welcome Texas to their home on the road for Texas, and show them, hey, we're the top of the SEC. We're the cream of the crop. And come in here and win this game and slug a lot of home runs, because that's what they do. They're nearing 100 home runs for the season, Chris. Batting .320 the team this season. But something about Texas, just every single time, Chris, they are 10-1 in one-run games this year, if I did my math correctly. The only one they lost, I think 2, 10-1 in SEC games in one-run games. They lost to Louisville, who's a very good team to open the season in extras, and then they lost 1 during the season. That's it.
Kentucky, it was extra innings.
Kentucky, yeah, and they are they find a way to win. They find a way to win one-run games. I mean, I think it's 65% of the games in the SEC are 2-run or 1-run games. I'm not 100% sure on the math, but I think the past couple of years it's been that. And it's that makes a lot of sense, because you see blowout games, and I think it's more so outliers because it shows how good the SEC is. But you lose Max Blue, 2024 Big 12 Player of the Year in preseason Golden Spikes this year. You lose Jared Spencer, no problem, right? You welcome in the hottest team in the country, playing the best baseball of anyone, taking down several Omaha contenders on the road. And you win 3 one-run ball games because guys step up. And Chris, I've seen it before. I continue to see it, and Texas is going to do it again. They're going to go into the hog pen. They're going to go into Baum Walker. Find a way to win. Someone's going to come up clutch. And I think they're just playing much better baseball, and they're playing better clutch baseball, Chris, in the past 2-3 weeks than anyone in the country, arguably. And I think Arkansas is going to give them a run for their money and give them hell. And I think it's going to be a rubber match come Sunday. I do think we're having a rubber match. It would not surprise me if Arkansas won this series being at home. But I'm right with the hot hand, the team that finds a way that's clutch every single week, that you doubt them, they prove you wrong. You doubt them, they prove you wrong. I picked against them once this season last week. They proved me wrong, but not because of that. But I just think they're just playing, the will to win for them is just so immensely different, I feel than other teams. And I think they're going to go in here and show they can win on the road, Chris, in one of the most hostile environments and great environments in college baseball.
Harrison, I'm in a very interesting predicament.
Yeah, you are.
I'm in an interesting predicament because half of the Texas fan base thinks I'm a Texas hater because I've picked against them multiple times this season, been wrong every single time.
Yep.
The other half of the Texas fan base wants me to pick against them because every time I pick against them, they win. And I think a lot of them feel as if I start picking Texas and riding that hot hand, they may go cold, or certainly if they lose, I will be deemed as the jinx. Now, have I let that affect my pick for this weekend?
Yes.
You're about to find out. Dude, like you said, Texas is just inevitable. I mean, they find a way and they're a really good club, by the way. I think sometimes we can get it lost in translation. It sounds like we're almost saying, hey, they're not that good, but they're getting lucky, or they're just coming up clutch.
They're got to cool off.
They are very, very, very good. And I will reiterate, the point I made was simply the best teams in baseball go cold. I mean, listen, it's the old adage, you're going to win a third of the games you play, you're going to lose a third of the games you play. It's what you do with the other third that determines what kind of club you are. You're going to lose a third of the games you play. Like, everybody
unless they're Missouri.
Right. Well, everybody takes they've just lost the other third. But everybody takes their lumps in this game. That's all I was trying to say. And you just want to make sure, if you've been ready, like you said, hot, cold, hot, like we all believe in that theory, that cold stretch is going to happen at some point. You don't want it to happen at the worst time of the year. That's all I was saying. So like I said, I'm in a very interesting predicament, Harrison. And Texas has proved me wrong every single time that I have picked against them. But they're going to have to prove me wrong again because I'm riding with Arkansas to take this series at home. The Hogs are not losing 4 straight series and they're not losing to Texas on their home field.
You said they weren't losing 3 straight.
You know what? I was wrong on 3 straight, but I'm not going to be wrong on 4 straight. They're not losing 4 straight series, and at some point, not having your ace is going to bite you. It flat out is. The league is too tough. Texas is finally having to go on the road and play somebody worth a damn who I think can match them blow for blow. I think Zach Root's going to spin a gym tonight. Gage Wood, Gabe Gackle, Beetle Cheese, the rest of that rotation. I think Arkansas, Harrison, I've been saying this for weeks, and I know they lost 3 straight series. I still think Arkansas might be the best team in the conference, top to bottom, just all around, might be the best team in the conference. I'll be more than happy to eat crow if Texas takes 2 or 3. Like I said this week, I would be giddy to see Texas and Omaha for some very obvious reasons. But I'm riding with the Hogs this weekend. Arkansas hands Texas their first series loss. And again, many Texas folks just rejoice. Thank God he picked against us because we're going to win again. So there you go. I'm going with Arkansas. I'm willing to be wrong again. I think I was a week early on the Texas doubt. I think the doubt will be justified this week. And I think Arkansas takes the series. And our guy, Jake McKeever, also going with Arkansas. By the way, shout out to him. Our guy Micah's going with Arkansas. I saw that this morning. So there's still folks out there. When will we learn? I guess never. Hey, if I gotta doubt them all the way to Omaha, Harrison, then I'll do it. I have no problem with that. No issue.
The thing is, Chris, like, we don't pick, it's all fun and games too. Seeing, the comments and whatnot on Twitter. It's like, we don't pick your team. It's like, oh, they don't know ball. Like, oh, they like, do you even watch the games? This, that, another. And then if we get it right, and they're like, you don't ever hear a peep. It's crickets. But if we get it wrong, it's, oh, like, of course they didn't know ball. Why do we listen to them? Oh, it's just like, all right, like, come on. Like,
it's all fun and games.
Making picks is hard in the SEC.
I do think, again, great series. I agree with you, rubber match. I just think at some point, not having your ace, not having Max Blues, not having some of these top guys is going to hurt you. I think Arkansas is a team that can expose that. I do.
One of the biggest things I think why Texas just so good, obviously, like, the players they have, but the bullpen arms they have, every time they throw a guy that's a stopper, there's not been a single exploding inning. And I think that's predicated on they have built their bullpen. Max Wiener and Nolan Cain have built the bullpen from a recruiting standpoint of guys that, you just don't see anywhere else in the season, anywhere else in the league because of, Dylan Valance, I'll use for example. The guy pitches like a junior. He's a freshman. Also why he's so hard to pick up. I mean, he's not blowing it by you, Chris. He's not throwing 95, 97. He's more like, low 90s. Got some upper 80s into it. He's got a great mix of an arsenal. He's got a 6'10" release height. You're not seeing that you see that for 1, 2, 3 at bats maybe the entire season. All 3 of them from Valantis. They have just this mix of arms of every different arsenal, it feels like, with stuff that can play versus lefties, righties, and both. But they have guys with just so many different release heights that can sink the ball from a 6'10" release height. You got guys from a 5'7" release height that can rise the ball or sink the ball. There's just so many different looks at the way that they've, done recruiting guys and just how they develop guys with Max Wiener just doing that. And it's been phenomenal to see. I think it's proven why, like, they're not blowing guys away. I mean, Max Grubbs is not blowing guys away. He can probably throw 95, but he throws, more low 90s with great stuff and locates it very well. Like, it's just they're so effective and they dominate the zone. Guys get themselves out. They have enough clutch hitting and guys just step up. Like, they have come to a point, Texas has come to a point where you can expect anyone to step up any night. That's how talented their lineup is. Like, anyone has been able to step up. It's crazy to see, but I mean, you do have Arkansas who's just now, I don't want to say backs against the wall, but backs against the wall to stop the bleeding.
It's a backs against the wall feeling, I think.
To stop the bleeding. And, you have a couple of injuries. I know Dave Van Horn spoke about with Logan Maxwell. I think he's probably not, if I'm leaning, going to play in this series with some hamstring issues. He left Friday's game after re-aggravating. I think he had some issues throughout the season and preseason with it. And then Hunter Dietz on Wednesday. I think that I don't know he's going to be available, but we'll see. I mean, he's got good stuff. I don't know. We'll see with that. I'm not going to, obviously give a final say, but Texas has their injuries of their own too. So it'll be interesting to see. But like I said, it would not surprise me if Arkansas wins the series. They're so talented and they play so well at home. And, this is a good time to get hot for them right before conference tournament.
So Harrison riding the horns. Jake McKeever and I continue to fuel the Texas Stout. We are going with Arkansas. We may never learn. I may never learn. I don't know.
You may never get invited to Texas.
I may never get invited to Austin ever again. I guess I'll have to take that risk. Harrison, let's go to Rocky Top, Tennessee and Auburn. Speaking of a team that needs a series dub, the Vols will look to protect the home field. Game 3 has been an issue for them, and I wonder if it will continue. What is their plan on Game 3? Is it A.J. Russell? Do they turn back to Tegan Coons? Is it somebody else? I don't know. They're going to try to solve those woes, though, if it comes down to a rubber match. Will Auburn try to put pressure on Tennessee's defense? We have seen the defense fail them at times. Certainly, you highlighted it Friday night, booted a couple balls, opens the door for LSU to come back, win that game, be a walk-off. And Harrison, I am selfishly excited for the Game 1 matchup. Sam Dutton, Liam Doyle, two of the best arms in the country will go at it on Friday night. And you got to think about, Harrison, with Tennessee's Game 3 struggles, not that it's affected Liam Doyle at all. He's just gone out and shoved every weekend. But the pressure it's putting on him and Marcus Phillips to go out and be at their very best because, again, we've seen you get to a Sunday rubber match and it kind of feels like who knows at this point. Your thoughts on this weekend, thoughts on the series. This one, I don't know that it's under the radar, but this is a very, very good series that folks need to pay attention to.
Absolutely. Very, very competitive series. I think it's going to be more competitive than people think. It's going to get overlooked, obviously, by Texas, Arkansas, and A&M LSU, even for that fact. But I think it's going to be one that's, talk about backs against the wall. Tennessee kind of feels like their backs are against their wall, probably. The target's been on their back for a little while now, and they're not playing their best brand of baseball, and they're still 36-9.
Lost 3 of their last 4 series, and at one they won. They had to come back in the 9th in the final game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this feels similar to the Arkansas-Texas kind of series for me, except the road team is just not as clutch every single week. No disrespect to Auburn, it's just I don't think anyone in the country is as clutch as Texas is every single week, winning one-run ball games and someone stepping up every single game. This is a get-right series for me, Chris. And to keep it a little shorter, I think I have so much belief and trust in Tony Vitello and the guys on that roster to get right at home here, in which I think the floor at Tennessee is just so much higher than it is at Auburn. And that's no disrespect to Auburn. They've been to Omaha twice in the past 5 years. I mean, very good ball club. They're playing, second half of the conference so far. They've been playing a lot of their better brand of baseball, even though, I think the last 2 weeks they haven't shown as much. They kind of tapered down a little bit, but this just feels like a get right at home spot for me with Tennessee and just tightening things up. May baseball, still, I think the errors in the defensive kind of miscues and just, they have to be able to hold runners on. They just don't do a good job at that. And I think that's something they need to continue to focus on this series and the rest of the season. But tightening those things up, I mean, you make a couple more defensive plays, and LSU fans aren't going to like to hear it. They go in the box, win Game 1, and they win the series. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, yeah, you can't say, oh, it's a parallel universe. Like, he didn't make those plays. Well, he should have made it at least one, and he would probably say he should have made both. I mean, that's just how good Tennessee is, and they're not playing their best bit in baseball. So, I mean, I just have a lot more faith in just the depth of Tennessee than Auburn, and Auburn going on the road to a hostile environment, which Tennessee plays unbelievably good at home. And the bullpen's so good. Auburn's bullpen struggled a little bit more so just this season statistically. But, I mean, neither one of them are playing, slugging at their best clip, this season. But Tennessee's just hit the 100 milestone for home runs this season, Chris. Auburn's at 57. I think the long ball is going to be in play at Lindsey Nelson. The juice box, whatever you want to call it, the peanut factory, whatever you want to call it, that Lindsey Nelson's a small ballpark. The balls that they hit out, there's maybe 2 or 3 that are close, but the rest of them just feel like they go out in any other ballpark. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think that it's going to be a really competitive series, and it's going to be just Tennessee's bullpen that makes the difference, because I think I like the depth and the arsenal of the arms they have there, and just a little bit more clutchness out of lineup for Tennessee playing at home than Auburn going into Lindsey Nelson and trying to do that themselves.
Harrison, the calendar has officially flipped to the month of May, which means Tennessee is about to flip a switch and look like postseason Tennessee, in my opinion. I agree with you. I think coming home, there is a backs against the wall kind of feeling because, again, even though you won that series at Ole Miss, I mean, the month of April, really, Tennessee just did not play the brand of baseball that I think we are used to seeing. Losing series at home, like to a Kentucky, just not what we're used to seeing from Tony Vitello's club. And I agree with you. Obviously, being there in person, you make those plays. They didn't. The bottom line is they didn't. You make those plays in the ninth. I mean, Tennessee, let's not forget, they were a couple booted balls away from taking 2 of 3 at LSU, one of the hardest places to play in college.
And they had a couple of guys with 2 strikes on counts after that.
Right, exactly. They were very close. Bottom line, they didn't get the job done. But Tennessee coming home, I think, will be the remedy they need. I don't think it's a sweep. I do think it comes down to game 3. I'll say this. I don't know if it comes down to game 3. I think Tennessee's going to take 2. I will not be surprised if they take games 1 and 2 behind really, really spirited outings from Liam Doyle and Marcus Phillips. They've got 2 legit horses. If it gets to a game 3 rubber match, I'm still taking Tennessee, but that is a situation I don't know that the Vols want to be in right now. But Tennessee going to find a way on their home field. Again, I cannot wait to watch the matchup between Sam Dutton and Liam Doyle. I think this Auburn team, I think they're going to earn a lot of respect from the folks at Lindsey Nelson this weekend because this is a really good club. Butch Thompson's got a good team. He's one of the most underrated coaches, I think, in the SEC. But I got to go with the Vols at home on Rocky Top to find a way. And I think they will start playing better baseball. I think it begins this weekend. I think you see Tennessee going to start to round into form, Harrison, over the next few weeks. And by the time we get to Hoover, I think you're going to see a vintage Tony Vitello club like we're used to seeing. So I'm going with Tennessee. You're going with Tennessee. Jake also going with Tennessee.
And I'm not predicting Tennessee because I think it's going to be a super competitive series. I mean, I think I'm most worried about the Sunday game for Tennessee, just kind of the inconsistencies and on the pitching mound, just depth and, how that's going to go for them. But Chris, I mean, look at the LSU series. I know it's at home at Plainsman, but I mean, they've proven they can play with the big boys. They can play with the elites of the SEC. They're going to go in here and give Tennessee everything they have. And I think it's going to be a super competitive series. Give me some closer games than Tennessee fans would like.
I don't doubt that. No, I mean, Auburn's a good team. If you have not been paying attention, Auburn is a good team right now.
Auburn's that sleeper in the top of the kind of top middle, that tier 2 of the
projected to be a
SEC.
host. Projected to be a host right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hosting at Plains would be huge for them. So we'll see what happens.
Like we say, winning on the road in the SEC is tough. Tennessee, one of the best in the country on their home field. I think you'll see that this weekend. Like I said, all 3 of us going with the Vols. All right, Harrison, let's go to College Station. Again, talking about backs against the wall. The Texas A&M Aggies, after getting swept at Texas last weekend, they host the team we just saw, the LSU Tigers. And this one going to be fun, Harrison, because I'm sure you're familiar, but for those who are not, this is a very underrated rivalry of sorts filled with pure hatred. A&M folks don't like LSU folks, and LSU folks don't like A&M folks. It's a do-or-die weekend for the Aggies, Harrison, in my mind. It kind of feels like you've got to take 2 of 3 to really get yourself in the conversation of where it's realistic, where you're talking about making the postseason, because I don't think it's a given right now. I know they're in projections, but I do not think it's a given. This weekend is massive. I'm curious again against a really, really good weekend rotation. The pitching was not the problem last weekend. What are LSU's hitters' approach this weekend? Because I did not think in games 1 and 2 the approach was great. Granted, you're going up against 2 great arms, but you're going to see 3 great arms this weekend. What is the approach? Do they simplify a little bit less is more, not trying to leave the yard every at bat and kind of more be productive? What they did on Sunday against Tennessee, and then obviously the bats are heating up. You saw what they did in the midweek, a big night there as well. So is LSU heating up? Can Texas A&M rebound, fighting for their postseason lives? This one's going to be fun in C-Stat, Harrison.
Yeah, I mean, talk about backs against the wall. After dropping 3, not the series, but getting swept at Texas.
The sweep hurts. It really did.
Monstrously hurts. And I think it's just the way it happened, too, because the pitching was there. The pitching gave you everything it could. I mean, holding Texas to, under 5 runs every game. I mean,
you would have taken that as an Aggie. You would have absolutely taken that.
Yeah. I mean, because they're that talented of an offense and that clutch of an offense, but just the offensive production for A&M was it was so frustrating because, I mean, they're going against some elite arms. Don't get that wrong. They're going against some really elite arms and just great pitchers at Texas. Like I said, the arsenals and just the, how the styles of how they pitch, their players. You're not going to win a lot of games like that in the SEC. You got to have those clutch moments. That's the biggest thing in the SEC, I think, is, stopping the line, like the pitching staff, and then having clutch moments in the box. And they didn't have enough of those. Texas had more of them. LSU did the same thing. They had, on the other side of it, obviously, they had more of them than Tennessee. The approaches were interesting. The first kind of, I guess, parts of both game 1 and 2, but you're playing against Liam Doyle and Marcus Phillips, two of the best stuffs and guys on the mound in the SEC and in college baseball. Liam Doyle for sure. And this is a very similar spot, I think, for both of them in a way that how they're playing right now, just because both A&M's pitching staff starters and LSU starters, they got some rotations, Chris. Mm-hmm. I think there's a higher floor with LSU's because I know they put Kassan Evans in the 3, but I think Chase Shores, in the bullpen's good, but I think he's still a really quality high-arm guy that can start in a 3 on a Sunday roll. But I mean, A&M, you can't ask any more out of them, and to have the pitching staff do that against a lineup like Texas, if they can do that again against LSU, and you got Ryan Prager. You said Ryan Prager legacy game, just spin a gym. He gave you almost that. Mm. If he can continue to do that, then Justin Lamkin, who's leading the team ERA and whip wise, and then you have Miles Patton. Just if they can pitch like that, Chris, week in and week out, that's one of the last teams you're going to want to see as a 3 senior regional. And they can do it against LSU. They absolutely can. It's going to come down to those clutch moments, those clutch factors of hits, I think, in the offense, to just kind of getting to the bullpen. That something LSU has done a little bit more than A&M. And A&M's had their shining moments. They've had some times where, clutchness. You got guys from, Caden Sorrell and how it feels like he's changed the offense, changed kind of the clubhouse vibe and everything. You got Terrence Kilsecond, who's leading the team in batting average and just how great of an athlete I think he is. And Jay Lavalette, when he's hot, he's seeing beach balls at the plate, Chris. We talk about that with, Wyatt Hensler too. And, you got guys like Hayden Schott that he's not playing his best brand of baseball, but something's going to spark in A&M. Something's going to, this week even more so. They're playing at home in front of the home crowd. Bluebell Park's going to be rocking. But something about LSU coming in clutch recently and just the depth of their lineup being able to do so is going to put them over the edge, I think, in a rubber match game and win an incredibly tough series on the road in College Station. Just something about it, because I think I trust the bullpen of LSU just a little bit more recently. Their ERA is almost a full point lower in the bullpen than A&M. That's 16 spot difference in rankings. And it's just, I think they have to use less because their starters go a little bit longer, but the bullpen is just fresh. They're not having to use, you're not going to see a ton of bullpen, I think, in this series, maybe, except for some matchup situations. But I just like the clutchness right now, a little bit more out of LSU, even though they're playing on the road. It's tough to win on the road in the SEC, but it happens. And LSU is a club that can absolutely do that. And I think they do this weekend in College Station.
Harrison, it's tough to win on the road in the SEC, and it's been tough for LSU historically to go into this building and win, by the way. If you look back and talking to some LSU folks, it's a place where, again, for whatever reason, they've had their issues, and honestly, not even just in baseball. We know about football. It's been a bit of a house of horrors for them for whatever reason at times. And I just hearing you talk about, I don't know what it is, man. I'm like getting chills. It's just the month of May. It's the baseball's only heating up. We've got a great weekend ahead of us, and this is certainly one of them. Yeah, watching every single time, watching them in Baton Rouge in person. Yeah, it does feel like that Dalton Beck at bat on Friday night may have sparked something. Texas A&M, again, fighting for their lives. I think there's no way they get swept at home, obviously, and A&M could very well win this series. But A&M's a team. I tell you, Harrison, it's like every time I pick them, they lose. I don't know what it – like I have come – I'm – for all the Aggies out there listening, you will hear me out when I say I'm getting the battered Aggie syndrome. I get it. I understand. Every time you expect A&M to do anything, they fall flat on their face. So maybe this pick bodes well for Texas A&M, but I'm still just skeptical that this is a postseason team. I am. They got hot. A&M got hot for a bit. Coming off the sweep at Texas, they're going to be spirited. They're going to be fired up. The ball 5 chants are going to be happening. The bubbles are going to be blowing. But I think LSU is just going to end up being too much. I trust the weekend rotation of LSU. If they go Case and Evans, especially in Game 3 on Sunday, I think that's huge advantage LSU. I think they found something there with that. And by the way, I'm glad somebody in the chat pointed this out because I was talking to Mikey Matuk, our good buddy Mikey Matuk, last week and over the weekend. watch out for Devin Sheeran. If you want to sound smart to your buddies, because they're probably not going to know who this is, but Devin Sheeran, reliever for LSU, there is a good chance he will throw for the first time this weekend. 98 from the right side, kind of a low three-quarter. He is the kid, if you remember, when Mississippi State, I believe it was last year, played like Mount St. Mary's in the regionals, and he shoved against them. Double-digit punchies, as Harrison likes to say. That kid is now on LSU's roster, so they've got kind of this secret weapon in their pen that I think you could see trot out there this weekend. But I think LSU, they're getting hot at the right time. Tough place to play in College Station. I think A&M steals a game, no doubt. LSU, though, goes in there, takes the series, as I think they will start to round into form, start playing their best brand of baseball. So I'm going with LSU. Harrison, you're going with LSU. Jake is also going with LSU, which I will admit scares the hell out of me that all three of us are going LSU.
Absolutely. But you know what also scares me is having to step in the box against Devin Sheeran. I mean, great point you bring up there. He was thrown a bit during practice in early March. So I think, he was Mount St. Mary's transfer. He led the MAAC in strikeouts as a freshman. And Jay Johnson has said he's got a bazooka for an arm. And he is huge, Chris. Just watching video of him. And, I mean, he looks every bit of, 6'5", 240 downhill on the mound. I mean, he's recovering from a torn ACL in the offseason, missed the preseason, obviously. But they say, he's likely back for be able to pitch this weekend. If he does, good luck getting a hit off him. I mean, it's going to be obviously, first outing of the season. So obviously maybe, some rough patches with that. But I mean, the talent for him is just through the roof. And to have that added to the bullpen, I mean, come on.
I mean,
it's going to be fun to watch him pitch. But yeah, if you want to sound in the know to your friends, tell them about Devin Sheeran and tell them that he might be back this weekend for LSU after a torn ACL in the offseason. I mean, stuff is going to play so well. I think especially just elevating the zone and then just breaking things off down the zone. But I mean, bazooka for an arm.
I mean, you're talking about adding a guy that throws 98, 100 basically to one of already the best pitching staffs in the country. So certainly not going to hurt. Again, all three of us taking LSU to be A&M, but expecting some wild dramatics there in C-Stat for sure.
Hey, Chris, hopefully there's no travel curfew.
I can't imagine there is. They took the bus down there, so I think we'll be all right. All right, let's go Vandy, Alabama. Harrison in Nashville. This is a really big one. We talk about how deep this conference is and the middle of the pack in this conference. Vandy sitting at 12-9 in conference play. Alabama sitting at 12-9 in conference play as well. Vanderbilt right now is projected as a regional host. Alabama is projected, I don't know if you saw this, Harrison, the latest Field of 64 is a 2-seed in the Clemson regional. So you know that Bama would love to put some things together over the last few weekends and get off of that and into more of the hosting conversation. So this is a big weekend for that. I'm really curious, Harrison, what does Alabama do with their weekend rotation? I do not believe at this point we have that released quite yet. We should find that out soon. Do they go Faye in game? I got to think they're going to switch things back. I got to think it's probably Zane Adams in game one. Maybe it's Riley Quick because he's been pitching actually on Fridays. So maybe there's a good chance they put him on Friday back-to-back weeks. You might go Quick, Adams, Faye this weekend. And then for Vandy, I mean, I think the question, Harrison, is pretty similar every weekend, is just, are they going to be able to scratch enough across? And maybe coming back home. We saw them do it against Georgia, right? Maybe it's another big weekend from Brody Johnston. Maybe R.J. Austin heats up. Who in that Vandy lineup, though, is going to step up against a Bama pitching staff that's really good on the front end? But I think as you get into the pen and get deeper into that pitching staff, you can absolutely expose them. We've seen it at times. So, Harrison, what's your thoughts? What's your feel? What's your pick on this one? Really, really good series there down on the West End.
Sneaky series here, Chris, with Alabama going to visit Vanderbilt. And just like you said, how Vanderbilt shut down Georgia at home. They shut them down because, obviously Georgia's shut on the road with the offense of not traveling as much as they do, playing at home, feeding the trees and Foley. But the pitching staff's just so elite for Vanderbilt. And that's just their bread and butter. It's just kind of what the program, I feel like, has been predicated on the past 12, 15 years, maybe. Just the amount of arms you look in the big leagues that they have and just the studs that they have, year after year that even don't make the big leagues, Chris. I mean, you got guys, you got Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter. They were on campus, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe? I mean, they got this new guy that I've been raving about the past few weeks in Connor Fennell. Game 3 guy, looks like a bona fide Sunday stud and has done it week after week after week. And just, I mean, he's the guy that's just like, I think, a weird kind of guy to pick up his stuff and has great stuff that plays the lefties and righties, but also just release height, working downhill, getting a lot of sync on his pitches. And you talk about it, the front of the bullpen, I think still, I mean, the front of the starting rotation, I think for Bama still has had some question marks. They shuffle things around. They put Faye in the front instead of, Zane Adams, and you have Zane Adams, going later. And then even like the shuffling things around, it kind of confuses me and worries me because this series is going to be predicated on, can Bama get to Vanderbilt's pitching staff? Not can Vanderbilt score and have enough offense off of off of Alabama's pitching staff, because I think it's more so we know what we're going to get with Vanderbilt. It's just, can they get to this pitching staff of the Vandy boys to have, an offensive production 2-3 games that Vanderbilt can't catch up with? Because if they can get to the starters, I mean, Vanderbilt's bullpen's really good. I like their bullpen with Sawyer Hawks and Miller Green, and they've been playing at a very high level, but it's just one of those things that Vanderbilt can't and hasn't proven consistently enough throughout the season to be able to battle back out of holes and just kind of fight and scratch and claw back. Chris, we talked about it earlier this week about just the offensive production numbers for Vanderbilt. They're batting .269 as a team. It's 14th in the league, 67 doubles. They do have 12 triples and lead, or second in the league in triples, 42 home runs, Chris. 42. Missouri has more home runs. That's all you need to know. And Missouri's about neck and neck with their batting average. They're 2 points lower. It's just, can they have enough offense to support the elite pitching that they have, that they get almost week after week? And can they do it? And Chris, it's not a hostile environment, Hawkins. You've been there. I've been there. You get the Vandy Whistler, that's about it. And you get the overhang shadows and feels like you're getting hugged by the football stadium. But something tells me that, like, when a team that should come in and win offensively wise does, like Georgia did, everyone unanimously picked Georgia. I think Vandy boys play great at home, and they're going to shut it down on the mound again and steal a series that I think Alabama should win and is projected to win. But I think Vandy boys take it and continue to be in that conversation for hosting in Nashville, where, I mean, it's going to be interesting and spicy because they lost a big series against Ole Miss. But I think they kind of bounce back this weekend and respond. I think the bats pick it up a little bit, just enough. But the pitching staff is going to give you what they've shown week after week and shut down this lineup.
And let's give Vandy credit. They scored 13 runs in that series finale in Oxford to avoid the sweep. That was a big one, obviously, to avoid the sweep on the road.
And we've seen those struggles from Justin LeBron, too, recently.
We have. Justin LeBron has not been the same guy. This one, Vandy's so interesting to me, Harrison, because, again, the pitching staff is so good. It's so good. I love that you brought up Connor Fennell. Obviously, he's just been incredible weekend after weekend. We know about the J.D. Thompsons of the world, Sawyer Hawks coming out of the pen. Like, they got plenty of studs on the pitching side of things. Something tells me to go Bama here, though. I'm going to go Alabama. I think that the shuffling of the weekend rotation that I'm expecting, I think, is going to pay off dividends. This one scares me. This is probably, Harrison, when I look at the weekend slate, the one I feel the least confident in. Because if Vandy wins this series, I will not be surprised in the slightest. It truly feels like a coin flip to me. It really does. It feels like a coin flip, but I am going to go Alabama. I am going to go Justin LeBron and the boys. The lineup, I think, is going to do enough. I think they're going to outslug Vandy, even against that great pitching staff. I think Zane Adams gives you a good outing. Riley Quick, I think your two horses give you good outings. I'm going to go Bama. I'm going to go Bama, take 2 of 3 in the West End. I don't feel great about it, but I'm going to stick with my guns, go Bama.
I got to ask.
Yeah.
Who do they score these runs off of Vanderbilt's pitching staff?
I mean, listen, I even the best can have their off days. I think J.D. Thompson's hittable. I think Fennell's hittable. Like, I think Vandy's guys are good, but they're hittable. I think Bama's lineup can scratch a few across. Like, I think it's going to be more like 5-4 games. Like, I don't think they're going to be high-scoring games.
I mean, yeah, I think they're all
we're going to get pitching duels. Yeah.
I think they're all going to be under 5. I'd be surprised if Vanderbilt, let alone either team, scores more than 6. I think they're all going to be kind of 4-2, 5-3,
Yeah, we're getting pitching duels this weekend. No doubt.
Yeah, but like when you have guys like Austin 9, Sawyer Hawks, who both have a sub 185 ERA. Starhawks has a 1.34. You got, I mean, Brendan Cyber, who's got a 2.6, and you got, I mean, just the studs they have. I mean, Alex Kranzer has got a 3.38. I mean, Ethan McElvin's probably the guy that throws the most, that struggles the most, at an 8 ERA, but he's had his flash some good moments. But I mean, they got just so many bullpen arms that have stepped up in so many ways that it's tough. And I think they're going to play a little bit matchup game against Justin LeBron and, and company around him, Brendan Norton and those guys. And I think it's going to be interesting to see. And definitely another under the radar series. I know it sounds like we say that a lot, but when you have headlines like LSU going to College Station to play,
it's a top 20 series, and it's not even the second or third series we talked about.
Yeah, exactly. And you have Texas going to Woo Pig and playing Arkansas. I mean, I think there's always two under the radar series. I think it's this week. It's Auburn, Tennessee, and Alabama, Vanderbilt.
And heck, there's another under the radar series we're going to talk about, Harrison, in just a second. Before we do, again, Harrison going Vandy, Jake and I going with Roll Tide. We'll see. Going to be a fun one. Harrison, we got 4 more to break down. Before we do, I want to tell the good people about our friends over at FanDuel, because as always, we're brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. The wait is over. Baseball season is finally here, and you can start the season strong on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now FanDuel is celebrating the return of baseball by giving new customers $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to get in on the action, from hits to steals to home runs. They've got a lineup filled with all of your favorite bets. Or if pitching is more of your thing, FanDuel's got a deep bullpen of bets, from strikeouts to shutout innings. So when you place your first bet, it can be on almost anything, and if it hits, you'll get $250 in bonus bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/SECU to join today. That's FanDuel.com/SECU. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official partners of Major League Baseball. Must be 21 and up and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and up and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. First deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bet. Should expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY, or text HOPE-NY in New York. Harrison, let's keep it moving. Like I mentioned, another series that sort of feels under the radar. We're just now getting to it. The Oklahoma Sooners will host the Ole Miss Rebels in Norman this weekend. Going to be a fun one. We got some big-time arms on the bump, including Friday night showdown between Kyson Witherspoon and Hunter Elliott. Harrison, I'm fascinated by the curious case of Riley Maddox. Once again, I think so much of their success hinges on him and what version they get. You would think Riley Maddox, and I'm assuming in game 2, going up against Malachi Witherspoon, does that favor Ole Miss? I just think it depends on what version of him we get. And again, like I mentioned, what is Oklahoma going to get out of the rest of the weekend rotation beyond Kyson? Because this is a really good Ole Miss lineup that they are facing off against. Your thoughts on this series in Norman? Who comes out on top?
Yeah, another under the radar series, but not as, I don't want to say it's not as under the radar. It's not as, kind of the sleeping giant that I think Tennessee hosting Auburn is, and, Vanderbilt hosting Alabama. But I think it's going to be a game 1 under the radar. I think it's just going to be that, loud series kind of on the back end because of the Sunday kind of what case you're going to get with, all hands on deck, and, no one having a solidified Sunday stud. I think Mason Nichols is going to go on Sunday against what I would expect to be Cade Crossland, who's got 6 starts for Oklahoma. He's had a lot of struggles in himself, but, he's given some quality innings, quality outings for Oklahoma too, and kept them in, in games and in series on Sunday. But it's going to be so fun to watch Kyson Witherspoon and Hunter Elliott go toe for toe, pitch for pitch, 0 for 0. It feels like in a lot of these innings. It's going to be fun to watch them do it. And, I think whoever wins game 1 is going to win the series, Chris. I think it's going to set them up so well because of the lack of knowns in game 3 specifically. But obviously, what can happen in game 2. It's going to kind of set the tone for the rest of the series because of just, I think, winning that game 1 against, the other team's best star, against their ace in this situation when it's more frontline heavy is going to be so important. And I think just the offensive production for Ole Miss has been there and proven it for us more consistently, and has a higher floor than Oklahoma Sooners have. And I think it's going to be what's the difference in this series, just Ole Miss doing that again. because when you look at the numbers and when you look at, like, I'm really confident in Luke Hill. I'm really confident in Mitchell Sanford. I'm really confident in Judd Udemark. And then you have other guys around that lineup too. I mean, you have Hayden Federico too. I mean, you have guys that can produce at such a high level. And I see it happening more consistently than Oklahoma's offensive production numbers. I mean, they've got guys that are, can really hit, like Jackson Willits and, Trey Gamble and, Easton Carmichael, who you think has an all SEC and all Division I name in college baseball just because it has Easton in the name. But I mean, you get Sam Christian, so you got guys that can produce in the lineup. And I just think that they're two very identical teams. I think Ole Miss, like as a season as a whole, I think Ole Miss has a little bit more pitching depth for sure. Offensive numbers are so similar this season. They're batting 291 and 290, Oklahoma at 290. And you just behind that, I mean, it's going to come down to the long ball. And I think Ole Miss is going to have a lot more production in that facet because they had 86 home runs this season versus Oklahoma, who doesn't feel like they don't hit a lot of home runs, but it doesn't feel like they do. Only 52 this season. I think Ole Miss takes advantage of that with maybe some runners on game 2 and game 3 more specifically, just with the lack of shoving out of those guys compared to Kyson Witherspoon. And I think it's going to be the difference in the game and the series for Ole Miss, and win a big series for them in a bounce back series, or not a bounce back series, but continue to propel them forward after they had a huge series win against Vanderbilt at home.
Harrison, don't look now. It's starting to heat up in Norman, Oklahoma. We're finally getting into highs in the 70s, which is a big deal out there, which is crazy to say because I was just somewhere last weekend that it was into the high 80s, if not the 90s. But it's warming up for them. I think the bats are going to warm up too. I think Oklahoma is going to take this series 2 of 3. Kyson Witherspoon does what he does best, shoves. They'll win a low-scoring game in game 1. And I think whether it's game 2 or game 3, maybe it's Riley Maddox with his up-and-down season, game 2 or game 3, I think Oklahoma is going to have a big offensive output day, steal another game, take 2 of 3 at home. This Oklahoma team finds a way to take down Ole Miss, and Norman's going to be jumping. I think Eldale Mitchell Park is going to be rowdy this weekend. I like Oklahoma, man. I like Boomer Sooner. I do. It's, again, weather's starting to warm up just enough. Bats will start to warm up along with it. I like Boomer Sooner to take the series over Ole Miss. 2 teams that I think Oklahoma, too, going to use the run game, going to use small ball. That's what they love to do. Obviously, they love stealing bases. They love to be active on the base pass. I think they do that this weekend. I think they steal the series. Again, it's another coin flip one, as a lot of these are in the SEC. I like Boomer Sooner on the home field, though. Again, weather warming up a little bit. We're going to get in the 70s this weekend in Norman. How about it? Get in the 70s this weekend. Bats will warm up.
Hey, it's still probably 60 in Como, though.
Probably so.
No, but Chris, I mean, you talk about it like, yeah, winning on the road in the SEC is hard, but going to Oklahoma, no disrespect to the Sooner fan base, it's not like you're going to the box. It's not like you're going to, Lindsey Nelson or the Dude or, Dish Falk or Bluebell. Like, I think the pitching for Ole Miss is going to travel, and, the offensive numbers, I think these teams are so identical, Chris. I just want to emphasize that again. They're so identical. Too. The past several weeks, as a season as a whole, but the past several weeks, like probably 2 weeks at a time, I mean, the bullpen's identical. The offensive numbers are identical. The starting pitching staffs are nearly identical. It is crazy how identical their statistics are the past 2 weeks. And it's going to be a fun one to see. And like you said, it's come down to game 1 for you. It's going to come down to game 1 for me. And we're on opposite sides of the fence. So we'll see what happens and how it plays out.
How dare you doubt Kyson Witherspoon? How dare you?
I mean, they lost several of his good starts, Chris.
I know. No, I mean,
and that's just, you can't.
It's true for a lot of teams, but game 1 for Oklahoma is
so important.
It's a must-win every weekend because
it has to be.
Yeah, it has to be. You cannot waste what Kyson Witherspoon is.
But we've seen, Chris, the offensive explosions they've given up at home. Remember Mississippi State, that insane game? They were down like 7 runs, and they ended up going to extras with them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Our guy Jake McKeever also going Boomer Sooner. So Harrison riding hotty toddy into Norman. Let's go, Harrison. This one's really interesting because of what has taken place over the last few days. Mississippi State and Kentucky, the first SEC series for the Diamond Dogs post Chris Lemonis. Maybe the guy in the other dugout, Nick Mingione, might be interested in the state job. I don't know. That's all speculation. I'm so fascinated. Let's give Kentucky, by the way, credit, Harrison. Kentucky's going to bring in a great pitching staff. I think this is a very, again, underrated team, going to be a postseason team, very stingy. They're going to scratch and claw. Tyler Bell at the top of the lineup is really good. Devin Burks, love their catcher. He feels like he's been there forever, but he's such a key cog in the lineup. But what is Mississippi State going to be this weekend? They win the midweek against Memphis. Everybody's like, oh, look, we're better without it. It was one game.
It's a midweek.
But does this team, I wonder, Harrison, does this team play more loose? Because it's like now there's not this vibe of like, man, we just got to play perfect baseball so our head coach doesn't get fired. Does this like loosen this team up a little bit and they start playing better and go on a run? And I think maybe one of the reasons they got rid of Chris Lemonis, they didn't want him to be the head coach if and when this team, when the boys got hot and they made a run in the postseason. It's like, well, you have to keep him now, right? I'm fascinated by the dynamic of that. And I'll start with my prediction here, Harrison, because I think that's going to happen. I think Mississippi State is going to take 2 of 3 this weekend. The dude's going to be rocking this weekend, by the way. I don't know if you knew this, Harrison. It is Super Bulldog weekend in Starkville. What exactly does that mean? I'm not sure, but all I know is it is Super Bulldog weekend. And looking at State fans, the comments on social media, after Chris Lemonis is fired, and they're like, the dude's going to be insane. People are excited for baseball again. I think State's going to come out loose. They got nothing to lose. They're not playing to save someone's job. Pico Khan's going to go out, shove. He's going to have a big night. Dude,
big punching night.
Listen, I was wrong when it came to the script writers and the Texas A&M series. But in my mind, the script writers, I think it is in the script. You are going to see Texas A&M. You're going to see Mississippi State, Harrison, get hot over these last few weekends. And I just would not be shocked if this team somehow sneaks their way in the postseason after firing Chris Lemonis. I think it's a loose group. I think it's a group that's going to have fun this weekend in front of a sellout crowd at the Dude. And I think they find a way to take 2 of 3 against Kentucky.
Yeah, Chris, it's really interesting to see the storyline for this series with how it's going to go between, Chris Lemonis firing midseason, the expectations at Mississippi State, and just what's going to happen kind of around that. And just, you're bringing in a club that's just a scrappy kind of fighty club, when you think about it, because that's what Kentucky's brand of baseball is. They play really clean defense. They pitch at a very consistent level, and they swipe bags with the best teams in the country. They did it at Oklahoma. They stole, dozens of bags at Oklahoma. They do that. They do it on the road too. It's kind of funny to hear you say that because it sounds like you forgot that Kentucky took 2 of 3 from who?
The Vols?
Who? Yeah. Yeah.
I know Kentucky's a good team. I get that.
That is that good. And it's one of those things where they can play with anyone. You don't want to see them in your regional.
They also had a rubber match against South Carolina at home. So,
exactly.
Listen,
so
baseball's a funny game. We can't pinpoint one series and talk about how good they are.
Yeah, there's that too. It's going to be really interesting to see. And, I think you made a good point. It just kind of backs against the walls for Mississippi State. I think in kind of a different fashion because a lot of fans, I don't want to say but it feels like they've given up on the season. It's like.
But see, now I think there's a new energy now.
There's a new energy now. There's a new kind of feel, vibe. Like, it's the loosest backs against the walls you can ever think of. And it's like, it honestly, Chris, feels like Mississippi State's playing with house money.
You read my mind, Harrison. Because, again, what do they have to lose? If they don't make the postseason, whatever. Right? But now it's like all the pressures on everybody they're playing. They're like, hey, the boys, you can just go out and be loosey-goosey and let's see if we can get hot. Why not? We'll see what happens.
Exactly. And Super Dog Weekend, whatever that means.
Super Bulldog Weekend.
Bulldog Weekend. Let me know in the comments what that means. I'm not sure, but it sounds fun. The dude's going to be jumping. The weather, Chris, I don't know if you checked it since you're our weather guy. Probably upper 70s, low 70s maybe. The smoke's going to be in the air. The grills are going to be firing. The food is going to be off the grill. It's going to be so good. I've been there. I've experienced myself. I've had such good experiences there in an SEC series too. And something tells me, Chris, I'm going with the gut here, Chris. I'm going with the gut. I'm flipping my pick to Mississippi State.
Wow.
I think the looseness of what do we have to lose? Like, let's
Wow.
go have fun and play confident baseball at home. That's what they do. And this is a team against Kentucky in which you can do that in because they're not going to blow you away in the mound. They've got really good guys on the mound, though, like Ben Cleaver in the 3 spot, Nick McKay, and Nate Harris. I mean, they've got really good guys that can pitch on the mound. You got Jackson Nova, the bullpen. That I like their arms and stuff. It's nothing overly powering. They can play with anyone. They can also lose to anyone we've seen, like South Carolina. I mean, I just think the offensive production too. You got one guy in double-digit home runs in Cole Haig. And you got Patrick Herrera, who is, almost 1,000 OPS, but has 2 home runs. You got, Chris, one guy over double-digit home runs for Kentucky. Excuse me. One guy over 6 home runs for Kentucky, Chris, this season. That's not their brand of baseball, obviously, but I think that's just going to play. It's going to make their kind of style play hard to do at Mississippi State. Mississippi State's going to, take advantage of the long ball, which they love to do. I mean, you got a ton of guys that are pushing 10 home runs right now. You got Ace Reese, who's just so good and so confident. I think he's, like I've said it before, I think he's the centerpiece, the nucleus of this offense. You need to have the consistency around him. Like Hunter Hines, I think, steps up. He's batting OPS over 1,000. I think he has a really strong weekend. Noah Sullivan as well. Sawyer Reeves, Bryce Chancellor, all those guys have their moments throughout the series and throughout the weekend. I think they definitely go out there and win Pico Con start. Set them up great to win either game 2 or game 3. Definitely expect a rubber match. I know Mississippi State fans don't want that, but they pull it off some way, some fashion, and win a big series in which keep their postseason hopes alive. And we'll see, because if you get the postseason, Chris, anything can happen. But I think this is just kind of a stick in the season, a stake. You talked about Dalton Fry's at bat for LSU. Maybe this is a turning point for Mississippi State, and why not now? Why not them?
Not me texting our graphics guy live on air to flip Harrison's pick to Mississippi State. By the way, Super Bulldog weekend, Harrison. Variety of events. You got the maroon and white spring game this weekend. I did not even realize Mississippi State had not had their spring football game.
I don't know if they were having one or not. No one
spring
seems to have
football scrimmage. I think they're still having one. You've obviously got the baseball series. Softball is playing Ole Miss at home. Other events include the Cotton District Arts Festival, the Old Main Music Festival, and the Starkville Derby. So it is. Hey, listen, it's Stark Vegas this weekend. It's Stark Vegas.
Does that mean the crowd's not gonna be as big if they're gonna be spread out?
No, it'll be no. I think they're gonna. No, I think the dude's gonna be slammed. I think the dude will be slammed. So you're going State. I'm going State. Jake McKeever going with Kentucky. So we'll see.
Went on the road. The SEC's hard.
The boys are gonna be loose, and the dude. The dude's going to be jumping. New energy.
Dude is going to be jumping out here.
New energy down there in Stark Vegas. Harrison, let's go to Columbia, South Carolina. The South Carolina Gamecocks will take on the Florida Gators. For Florida, Harrison, I could argue it's a must-sweep kind of situation. Must-win series, no doubt. But if you get the opportunity, you sell out in Game 3. I mean, there's just no doubt, because for Florida, every single win at this point is massive. They sit right now at 8 SEC wins. You got 3 weekends remaining. You do the math. Get yourself 5 more conference wins. You feel pretty darn good about the fact you're going to be back in the postseason. The big blow here, Harrison, is Ethan Petrie. Not only is likely out this weekend, but is likely done for the season.
AC joint. Yep.
AC joint after running into the wall at Kentucky, out 2 to 4 weeks. So again, his season probably over, which
his college career probably over. I think
college career is probably over. Yes, college career probably over, which is a shame, and a massive, massive blow for South Carolina. Harrison, your thoughts on this weekend? Must win for the Gators. Obviously, Gamecocks trying to play spoiler.
Yeah, I think South Carolina's going to try to do that on the backs of Brennan Stone in the game 1 role, at which you've seen him throw gems. We've seen him struggle, and I just don't think he's going to have enough to shut down this Florida lineup that's really deep and talented, and just maybe peak and continue to get hot at the right time, winning all these must-win games that they have to win, whether it's at home or on the road. I mean, we just saw him upset a huge upset against a very, very talented Arkansas Razorback team. Granted, it was at home for them and on the road for Arkansas, but they've proven they can play the biggest and the best. South Carolina just doesn't have the consistency to do that on the pitching staff, let alone the offensive production side as well. I do think it's funny. South Carolina's bullpen has pitched better this season than Florida's, ironically enough, but they don't have the lineup to support it is the problem. And especially
no Ethan Petrie.
When you have Ethan Petrie out, it's going to be tough to, there's nowhere, nowhere you kind of need to hide in the lineup. There's no one, that we talk about most of the season, can they have enough depth to support Ethan Petrie in the lineup? Well, can they have enough depth to replace Ethan Petrie in the lineup? I don't see it. Especially
Dude,
against,
and Nathan Hall is dealing with an injury. He may not go.
Yeah. And it's just two bottom third of the SEC teams this season trending in complete opposite ways. Florida, not playing with house money, but it's a must-win series for them. You would love the sweep. You kind of need the sweep to help you out a lot, make it a lot easier for you. And this is a series in which they can do so on the road, because I don't think Founders Park is going to be slammed. I don't think that the energy and the juice is going to be, anything that they can't handle or deal with. I mean, you've been to Conjuring Family Ballpark. It's not, it's more of a family-friendly ballpark. It's kind of like, what is it? Kentucky Proud Park. It's not like you're going to, the Hog Pen. You're not going to, Alex Boxy's.
A little more corporate, kind of a minor league ballpark feel, a little bit.
Yeah, I think South Carolina is going to be a little more family-friendly, corporate kind of style. And it's just going to be, a loud weekend for the Florida Gators in a must-win situation in which who better to do it than Kevin O'Sullivan? And just going to find their way, Chris. We're going to come here in late May. All right, which regional is Florida 3 seed in? Which number 1 seed, national seed, had the short straw or pissed off the committee and got Florida? And I think they continue to trend that way and find themselves back in the postseason with a big series win here and hopefully a series sweep for the Florida Gators, because I think they're going to slug the ball well. I think they're going to do so well. It's going to be, you're going to get some continued pitching production out of the bullpen too, which Florida I think needs to continue to improve if they want to have a deep postseason run. So good weekend to do it for them, and I think they do.
I know it's a basketball slogan, Harrison, but Gator Boys stay hot. I think the Gator Boys stay hot this weekend. You're not going to complain if you take 2 of 3 on the road, obviously. But again, it is one that if you take the first 2, I think you have to sell out if you're Florida to get game 3. And I think they obviously will, because a sweep would be massive. You can get to 11 SEC wins after the weekend. You really do feel like you're sort of ahead of it going in the final 2 weekends.
That RPI is 19, showing the schedule 5.
Yeah, I mean, if Florida gets to 13 SEC wins before we get to Hoover, they're fine. They're good because of that out-of-conference schedule, because they took 2 or 3 against FSU, because they
have a seat in Miami on the head of the table.
Because of that as well, because of what they did last year, they're going to be fine. Yeah, South Carolina not having Ethan Petrie, maybe not Nathan Hall, but not having Petrie is just such a massive blow to this team. Can Brandon Stone go back out there and give them another gem like he did a few weeks ago against Ole Miss? I think that's probably asking a lot. I do like Jake McCoy a lot in their Game 2 starter. Game 3 is a complete mess for them. I expect Liam Peterson to outduel a Brandon Stone on a Friday night. And again, I just that lineup without Ethan Petrie, I think Liam Peterson's going to eat them alive. Curious to see what we get out of Aiden King. And then what's the Sunday look like for Florida, right? Is it Billy Barlow again? Do they go, God forbid, does a Jake Clemente, who's been so good out of the pen, does he slide back in a starter role? I don't think that happens because I think they'll use him earlier in the weekend. But who is it? Where do they go? But I still think Florida, whether it's 2 or 3 or sweeping, I'm not going to pick one way or the other. But Florida's going to win this series. If they have a chance to sweep, I could very well see them getting it done. I just think South Carolina, they're limping towards the finish. Now you lose your best player. I'm taking the Gators. Gator Boys stay hot. They will stay hot this weekend in Columbia. Our guy, Jake McKeever, also thinks them Gator Boys will stay hot.
Chris, that didn't scare you?
No, it doesn't scare me this weekend. Because here, like you said, Harrison, you said both are bottom third SEC teams. And right now they are. Here's the difference. Florida has the talent to go on the ride. They are an actually talented ball club that, one of the more talented rosters. Florida, call me crazy, I still think has an Omaha talented club. Like, they have that caliber. South Carolina does not. That's the difference. Like, South Carolina has 5 SEC wins, not just because they got cold or what. They're just not good. They just don't have the guys. We said it early in the year. They don't have the dudes. We've seen it all season. Now you just lost your best dude. So, no, I'm not worried that all 3 of us are picking Florida. I mean, it would be a massive upset. We've seen them before, but it would be a massive upset if the Gamecocks came out and won this without Ethan Petrie, Harrison.
Yeah.
Got to go Florida. Florida's the only
that might be one of the storylines of the weekend if they did.
Yeah, and it would be a bad series loss for Florida. There's no other way to put it. Especially
what was the saying again?
Gator boys stay hot.
It gives me it instantly reminds me of Gator get his gat when they give him the wooden pistol.
Yes, Gator boys stay hot though. Gator boys stay hot. Harrison, finally, let's go to Columbia, Missouri, as Mizzou hosts the Georgia Bulldogs. 0-30 watch rages on for MIZ. Harrison, I just think the big question of the weekend is, will the Dogs bats travel? Certainly, you'd think they travel to Como. Georgia obviously continuing to try to fight for a top 8 national seed, strengthen their resume at minimum. Harrison, I'll keep this one short and sweet. I do not think this is the weekend that Missouri gets their first SEC win. Although, Georgia, you better bring your sticks this weekend. Bring your sticks. Because your pitching at any point can make things interesting. That said, I think Georgia wins. I think Georgia sweeps. Give me the Dogs to go into Como and make it 0-24 for Missouri as they chase down the defeated season.
Chris, weirdly enough, Georgia, the last 7 games, is batting .220 as a team. Versus as a season.
Is Mizzou's worst in the conference pitching staff the remedy they need on the road?
Yeah. I mean, Georgia's batting .220 as a team in the last 7 games. Missouri, .217. ERA, Georgia's last 7 games, a 6.23 ERA. Missouri, a 13.09. Whoo! But the bullpen, Chris, the bullpen's a little bit better for Missouri. A 10.06 ERA and a 4.82 for Georgia. I think it's a series in which Georgia should absolutely not lose a single game. There is no excuse to lose a single game, but you can't sleepwalk into Como. We saw Florida do it last year. A really good Florida team do it last year. That Florida team ended up in Omaha. Georgia has Omaha aspirations and goals this season. You cannot sleepwalk into Como. Use it as a solidify guys, touch up kind of weekend before it's just, off to the races. The last into the regular season for the SEC tournament postseason. It's the last chance for get some guys some opportunities and solidify some confidence and roles. And Georgia needs to absolutely do that. I think that's the most important thing for them. I think the bats will travel to Como. I think they put up 8+ runs in each game. I think it's going to be predicated. Say, hey, this team needs to step up. This Georgia lineup will step up, but the pitching staff needs to step up. Give maybe Alton Davis a little bit more length. I think he's been pitching a lot better recently. Really talented. I love what I see at him, watching him pitch in person, sitting behind home plate. Awesome. Really talented guy. And I think it's give guys like that a little more length, see what they've got, and put them in certain situations, with runners on or like first out of the bullpen or kind of a back end guy, whatnot. Great opportunity to get some length out of the starting pitching staff and take care of business, Chris. Georgia's got to take care of business and do so by getting guys into certain situations, opportunities, Chris, because they're going to need them down the road. They really are, because you want to have a deep bullpen and a deep, off the bench lineup. Get a couple guys some pinch hits here, but Georgia, no problem sweep. I don't think this weekend, but that would be the biggest storyline of the weekend if they don't.
Our guy Jake McKeever also going Georgia. Harrison, one last thing before we close the series. I forgot to ask you about, how'd you feel about the graphic Georgia put up saying we run this state with all of the scores against their interstate foes? I know that one had to cut deep a little bit.
Yeah, that one hurt a little bit. Really cool, really cool graphic. I gotta admit, I gotta shout.
I'm sure you would shed a tear if Georgia became Mizzou's first SEC win. Sure, you'd shed a tear.
Hey, I'm gonna quote Moneyball. No one cares what you do except the last game of the season.
True.
I mean, tell me this. I mean, if Georgia Tech, for example, went deeper in the postseason to Georgia, does that graphic mean that much?
I need Georgia Tech, Georgia in like a super more than I need air.
Like last year with Danny Hall's retirement year?
I need that in a super more than I need air to breathe, truly.
That one hurt.
With our guy, which I don't know if they'd put you on the call for that. I might be on actual like ESPN or something, but that would be fire.
Might sideline that.
Which, by the way, congrats to you before I forget. You are on the call, you said, for Danny Hall's final game, right?
Yep.
Incredible.
Honor and privilege.
Congratulations. Yeah, that'll be sick. No, again, all three of us go in Georgia, though. I don't think there's much conversation as Mizzou chases that 0-30 season. I don't know that they're chasing it, but they're running into it, if nothing else. And I think Georgia's bats, like you said, I think on the road, Mizzou's pitching staff will be just the remedy they need to get it rolling. That's it. 8 of the series officially in the books, previewed, predicted. Guys, let's get into a few of your questions. We appreciate you all being active in the chat. Yes, me with no hat. Here, you want to know why? You want to know why I have no hat on? There's actually a reason. I am going to the barber shop after this, get a little cut. So they don't like it, when you wear a hat before, you got hat hair, whatever. So that's why.
Hey, we going to Mohawk May?
No, just a light trim, nothing crazy.
Come on
just getting the beard tightened up. We're letting the flow grow back out to its glory that it was during football season.
So then you're going to grow the flow out in Mohawk it in Omaha.
I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. Texas Rocks. When was the last time Jake was actually on a show? Y'all just going to keep announcing his picks for him every week. Yeah, so Jake doesn't join the Windup. We just announce his picks because he's on the graphic. He will be with us, I'm assuming, on Friday Night Spikes, which, Harrison, I'm excited to be back on Friday Night Spikes. Cannot wait. By the way, on that note, I do want to give a shout-out to our guys. If I can reach.
Can't hear you.
I said if I can reach. I want to give a shout-out to our guys. Chinook Seeds. It's raining seeds in the studio. We have all these seeds. ChinookSeedery.com. Promo code SECU. Get 10% off your purchase. You can get yourself a box like this. Shout out to my guys over at Chinook. They're the best.
Hey, Hatch Chili still got the crown for me.
They're the absolute best. Shout out my guy. They're in the chat. Shout out Chinook. It's raining seeds. I've got 7 boxes of sunflower seeds. So if y'all need any, I'm gonna bring me at least 3 or 4 boxes to Omaha. We're gonna be throwing these. We're gonna be throwing these things all over the place.
Live reviews, whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Mike Prima, LSU wins title number 8 this season. Get over it, people. Go Tigers.
It could happen. We've got more. We've got about 5 or 6, I think, that are realistic national championship contenders. Texas Rocks is predicting Mizzou gets their first SEC win over Aggie. We'll talk about that one next weekend.
Speaking of Aggies, big series for them this weekend.
Yeah, Gig'em Bart deep in the chat. I saw a lot of Texas fans, by the way, and Gig'em Bart. He was fired up. We all 3 win LSU.
He even thinks Arkansas can't. He refuses to think they can't get it done at home.
Refuse to believe they can't get it done. No, they absolutely can get it done. It's just which Texas Longhorn hitter will step up in some situation and get some base knock that they need to win by 1 run.
Yep.
That's essentially it at this point.
Matt Dees, what's up, guys? What's up?
Yeah, Eric Simmons, want to go to this one. I think half of the SEC teams might host regionals. Yeah, I think right now, what are we projected? 7 regional hosts?
I believe it's 7.
You're right at, that is over half the teams that are projected to make the postseason. They are projected as regional hosts.
Yeah. Chris, it wouldn't surprise me we saw 4 in Omaha last year. I expect 3 at least in Omaha, but you never know. We'll see what.
How about this? See, look, I'm being labeled as the jinx, Harrison. Texas Rocks. They hit Aggie with the scorching thumbnail last week, and they got swept. Now they hit us with the unbeatable thumbnail. SMH with the middle finger.
Hey,
emoji.
Speaking of that, Chris.
I did that.
Don't pick the Longhorns to come after you.
I win Arkansas proudly. Our guy, Blake Ruffino, AYS, he says Henderson. I know he means Harrison. I'm just here to tell Harrison he is banned from Louisiana. Have a good day.
After picking LSU in all but one series as a Texas series, which I was right in.
But see, you picked him to lose to the Aggies. So that's an unforgivable sin down there in the Bayou, I fear.
Oh, wait. I didn't pick LSU to lose to A&M.
Oh, that's right. You did pick LSU. I don't know. I don't know why then. No, he's saying you're banned because you were showing the Vols some love on the time.
Oh, on Twitter. Yeah. Hey, I want to get to this one. This is fun. Best of 7 series with the Rockies. Does an all-SEC team get a game on them?
Oh, a game? I think they take a game, yeah.
Hey, Chris, this one's going to hurt us, but Braves did lose to the Rockies yesterday after the game. They're on pace to be the worst historically baseball team ever, and they're going to break. I think they're on pace to break the Chicago White Sox 2024 record from last year. They were, I think, 8 games under 500. The White Sox were last year at this point, or I think it was 12 maybe. The Rockies are 16 games under 500 through 28 games. But I think an all SEC team, Chris, give him 2 wins. Give him 2. Give him 2. We know, Chris, the SEC is like AA baseball.
Baseball's funny. And it's not like the NFL where it's like, no, these would all be grown men against college kids. Baseball, anything. I mean, dude, we see it all the time when like Boston College plays the Red Sox and
They play the
spring
Red Sox,
training or whatever.
I think who else
Sometimes they
does,
win. I think
Northeastern
sometimes they
does?
win.
Yeah, I mean, they're not throwing, they're not throwing Garrett Crochet.
True.
I don't know. We'll see.
Chinook, will the football helmet make the move? You think I'm going to leave it behind? I mean, come on now.
I think putting a
it's gonna
baseball
make the
helmet there
move.
that you still said you're going to do but haven't done, and it's May now.
It's probably not going to happen.
Chris, it is May. What is the excuse?
I just have not. Dude, April was insane for me. April was insane. By the way, I would like to highlight, which it would be very funny if it glitched at this point. This is back-to-back shows, Harrison. Not a single glitch, not a single hiccup, camera issues, audio, none of them. Hey, folks, that's called a streak. We're on a three. Okay, so what are we on then? We're just back-to-back?
Hey, he's heating up. Yeah, he's back-to-back.
We're heating up. Tomorrow night, Friday Night Spikes is
you might have just jinxed it, though.
Is the ultimate telltale sign.
You are the jinx, apparently.
So. Apparently so. Tomorrow night will be the tell, though.
Yeah, well, I mean,
we go 3 in a row. Chinook, my guys at Chinook gonna have to find something else to rag us about.
Yeah, I mean, how many times?
Hey, listen, we're hitting postseason form too. Listen, you start playing your best. This is when you want to start playing your best baseball. This is when you want to start having your best shows.
Chris, all I can say is we're seizing the opportunity.
Yes, seizing the opportunity. All right, let's go ahead and put a pin in it. I got to go get a haircut, and we just got to get out of here. So, guys, again, appreciate you all. Harrison, you're the man. Thank you for taking the time. This show is a lot of fun, especially when we don't have technical issues. Anyways, guys, Friday Night Spikes returns tomorrow night. We apologize last week for no show, but, when you're down in the bayou and there's a 3.5-hour rain delay, there's just not a whole lot you can do about it. So, I am back in studio. We will return tomorrow night. Really excited. We'll keep you updated on time, but going to be a lot of fun.
Maybe I'll have a melon hat on tomorrow.
Maybe you'll probably not, but you'll probably have you may have one on. You never know. Again, guys, we can't say thank you enough. Appreciate you all tuning in as always. Again, stay tuned. Friday Night Spikes, all of our content coming your way. All the action getting going tonight. So make sure you lock in.
Yeah, we'll be 2/3 of the way done with a couple series by Friday Night Spikes again. Some big series too.
Yeah, gonna be fun. Guys, again, appreciate you all tuning in as always. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast or we get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. For Harrison Fant, I'm Chris Phillips. This is the Windup, SEC Unfiltered's bi-weekly college baseball show, the best college baseball show on the internet. Appreciate you all tuning in. Y'all take care, and we'll see you all tomorrow night on Friday Night Spikes.